Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, good time of day, whatever it may be for you. Welcome back to LAMDA Log. We're on term 3. And it's been a minute. And it's been a time. So this whole first week has been weird, to say the least. Just scheduling wise, we were focused on filming our screen scenes that we were given at the last term. And so we had that for a long time. That was like the focus of this week. And then we had our introduction to French scenes, and that was it. So I'm gonna do the entire first week in one video. Hopefully I have time. Let me double check to make sure I know when I need to be at school. Okay. Good old 9:30. Okay. So, week 1, day 1, we had our welcome back meeting with Philippa. And I'm just going to read my notes. So, we had our honeymoon term, which was like first term. Then we had our long winter term, and now we're in the summer term, which is the last term for a lot of people. So this is like super packed, and it's going to be beautifully difficult. But we need to treat our spaces and equipment well and with respect. These spaces hold our work. We must enter and exit a space with responsibility. Charles needs our support to clean up and to inform the teams or states if anything is amiss, and to leave gear where it is, right? Make sure to keep the pianos and keyboards in the in the studios where they are, and if a tutor wants something different, point them to James. A keyboard should be with a stand and a pedal, and the adapter, it should all be together. Don't stick note names on the keys, or if you must, if you're learning piano, which is a noble thing to do, and you want to put the names of the keys on there, take them off after you're done. Don't leave them on there, because then it can the adhesive can stick to it, and it becomes a mess. Moving pianos can compromise their tuning, so if it must be moved, do it slowly and methodically with 2 people. Clean your hands if you're going to play the piano. Don't leave sticky residue. Don't be eating and then playing. If moving a keyboard, be careful with the pedal. A lot of these chords break. We are not guests here. We are LAMDA. It's not... and they realize that it's not maliciousness that they think in which we're making these mistakes, but it's just carelessness. So don't be careless. Respective students always comment on how warm and welcoming we are as students. So that's cool. And if this is the final term of your first year, you need to consolidate and review about what you've learned and what works and what you need to focus on. Fourth term is a huge step up. It's professional. That's when we will be doing our Shakespeare showings. And we need to be ready to approach it with rigor and vigor. It's going to be a great term. Yeah. So my partner and I, we were the first to film on Tuesday. Sorry. Also, day 1, week 1, term 3. It's Tuesday, the 5th of May, because Monday was a bank holiday. So Tuesday. So I rehearsed with my scene partner. We kind of reviewed the lines and worked a little bit of the blocking. And then for the filming, as it was, we were on the what do they call it? It's the... I don't remember, but it's this huge LED screen. And then they had a whole filming setup for us. And it was cool. It was really fun to be in there and to work with the production team and everything, but it was weird. It was all very professional and just so technical. We got set up in their dressing rooms, and we had our costumes approved, And then we went on set and did our wide shots first a few times, and then some, and then we clarified some blocking, and then we did a close up on me, and then a close up on my scene partner. And I think I was awful. I think I struggle. Well, I struggle with the lines just because I was so worried about the technicality, and I hadn't practiced my lines in relation to other lines. I had practiced them sequentially, and I used my flashcards, but I need to use my auditory, just like notes app, like my memos app, the recording app, and then do my cue line so that I can respond. So that was not the best. But I felt wooden, and I felt one note. I did not like how the product felt. We'll see if things change, but that's how it was. Eh. Wait, I don't know. We were done by 11:10, and then I caught up with some people. I ate my lunch, and then I went to see Hercules. Not my favorite show. Yeah, this is not a review channel for me to complain, but that was week 1, day 1, Tuesday. Ba-da-da-da-da. Wednesday. I really did like one thing each day. Week 1, day 2, Wednesday, the 6th of May. I only had thesis scheduled, so I slept in. I was still fighting the jet lag a bit, and I've been sad leaving Theo and Emma. I've just been in a funk, so I took it a little easy, and I got up around 10 and got into the school at like 1. So I worked on my thesis, and I'm almost done with my first draft as of Wednesday. I'll finish it this week. After working, I ate my dinner and I packed, and I went to the director's showcase because the directing students had a showcase. And so that was all I did on Wednesday. I worked on my thesis, ate some dinner, saw the showcase. Ba-da-da. Week 1, day 3, 7th of May, Thursday. I had nothing scheduled till 6 p.m., so I slept until 10 again, and I got to school around like 1-ish, and I worked on audition prep because we got our scenes, because we're going to have 2 auditions weekly. We're going to have an in-person audition on Wednesdays, and then we're going to have a self-tape that we need to submit regularly. So I prepped all those out. I wrote up my note cards, my flashcards for that. And I prepped some singing things too. I'm going to sing Grow For Me next week. I've given you sunlight. I think it's light. I've given you dirt. You've given me nothing but heartache and hurt. That one. And yeah, because I'm trying to organize my thong book. I got this. This little, yeah, that's kind of gross. That was a spider. This little binder I found on my way to school once. So, free binder. Anyway, then we actually started with some work. And we had 3-hour introduction to our French scenes with Marianne Badriciani. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's French. Ollie says that there is no one right now who could teach these scenes better than Marianne, right? She was just recently like the equivalent of knighted in the arts in France for her work with French classical scenes. She's awesome. We started with our names, our pronouns, and where we're from. Marianne was born in Paris, but has lived in London for the past like 25-ish years. She found her niche in translating and producing French plays in English. She has a play on at Riverside Theaters. It's a Ionesco dinner at the Smiths. And it closes this Saturday. I was not able to go. But today we will be introduced to the French classical texts from 1700s and 1800s. So we paired up and discussed what we already knew, and I sure didn't know a lot. We learned a little bit about Figaro. It was pre-revolution. Alexandrian is the name of the French verse. I think there's 12 syllables per line. It's interesting because like the French is a way and then the English translation is a way, but it always rhymes. Just like going back and forth, one line, rhyme, rhyme, new rhyme, rhyme. Well, new word rhymes with the new one. So it's like it would be A A B B C C D D E E, so on and so forth. Then we talked about the liberation of Don Juan. Liberton. A libertine is someone who's like free thinking and they're like, yeah, love is free and life is free and I want to be a free thinker. And Don Juan is like that too, but he is like a more sexual side to it. And then there's 17th century music by Jean-Baptiste Louis. I'm butchering all of this French, so I apologize. Mostly because she, is French. And so she just says things and I'm like, huh? I'll pretend like I know what you're saying. But yeah, he conducted the king dances. There are also rules, and so comedy and tragedy have to be separate. I'll go into 5 more rules in a bit, but the lines sometimes rhyme when they are when they're translated. Sometimes they don't, but in French they do. And also these rules, these 5 rules that we'll get into, they were connected to Aristotle's rules for theater that he wrote in Poetics. Before the 17th century in France, Greek tragedy, right, that was like kind of how things developed. There was Greek tragedies, there was the mystery plays, the religious plays, there was Commedia dell'arte. And then when Louis the 14th came into power, he controlled fashion and pop culture, and he set these rules with like national. What was it? I wrote it down somewhere else, I think. But it was like the national French just rules. They kind of established it, and it's an organization that still exists today. But the rules are the story has to be believable, so anything that happens has to be plausibly happening on stage. So no magic or gods, and you don't show violence on stage either. You can't mix the dramatic forms, so comedy is comedy, tragedy is tragedy. It has to be like unity of time, so within 25 hours with one plot line of action. And then the lights on to see everyone because it was a social event in which you wanted to see the audience and who was there. And then Le Cid was the first French classical play that started off this era. It was Cordelian, I don't know. It's a Cordelian dilemma, like duty versus love. And this play broke all the rules, but later plays and playwrights, himself included, stuck much more closely to the rule. So there's the Comédie Française, which is the French National Theater. Then we had a student who read one of the monologues from Le Cid, and then we watched it in French from the Comédie Française. And then we watched another scene between Le Cid and his father, and we focused on learning to hear the musicality of the verse so that we can replicate it. And then another student got up and read the second moment in English so that we had the comparison. And then the emotions will naturally be stressed more than verbs or other ideas. Flow is absolutely fundamental. Don't break the text. Don't break up the text, but you can breathe in the middle of the line. Patrice Chéreau Phèdre. I don't know, lots of French. I'm getting most of it, but it's just like the words and names. That's a play that we'll be looking at. And then Berenice. Berenice is by, that can't be right. Isabelle Huppert. That broke the Alexandria a little bit. And then, of course, there's Molière. Um, and we were invited to watch the biopic of his life. Molière hated doctors, so he made fun of them a lot. And in 17th century, it's like being in a corset, but underneath you are bubbling with passion. So there's constraints and rules to follow and etiquette, but you just have all these passions and feelings all the time. The caesuras give you breath to change and add something new, question and answer. And then Cyrano de Bergerac, I don't know why I'm trying so hard, is another French play around this time. We had a little 10-minute break. Then we paired up and got monologues to get up and in front of the people and do the work. And so we practiced it. We had a little warm up. We did a sound and gesture for each and then repeated that by the group. Classic. And then one by one, we kind of performed and got instruction on our scene, our little monologue that we broke up. So my partner and I went first. It was Le Cid, Act 1, Scene 4. And I had good passion, but not as good flow. Really emphasized the last words of the line, not the supposed like operative words, but you really want to focus on the rhyme. So it sounds a little Dr. Seussian in sense, but not a bad way. She had me work on go, pass from me the basest of base, and into hands that can avenge disgrace. So those are the two lines. Go, pass from me the basest of base, and into hands that can avenge disgrace. So you really want to hit base and disgrace to emphasize the rhyme. And I just did this wrong again, and not emphasize avenge. So go, pass from me the basest of base, and into hands that can avenge disgrace. Yeah, and not hands as well. But really drive to the end of the line. And if you have a rhyme, honor it. Punctuation and caesuras introduce an unpredictability in the text. Also, caesura is when there's a full stop in the middle of a line, if we have forgotten. And then take the necessary pauses to honor the rhyme and let the audience hear it. Up the passion, up the Alexandrian rhythms, and then variety of pace and pitch, and then that's kind of the order of it. You don't need to lead to the end of the line as much with shorter lines. And then don't emphasize the first word like Shakespeare, just the last, the rhymed word. If there is no caesura or punctuation, drive to the last rhyming word, and then use the breath to move and push forward. It's easy when you pay attention to the sound of it building to the end with an upward inflection. And that was kind of what we did. And then we're on Friday. Da. Do I have a lot of notes? Yeah, I got a little bit. I got 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages. We're good. We're cruising now. Week 1, day 4, Friday, the 8th of May. So we jumped right into French scenes, and we had a 6.5 hour work on this. So we had like 3 hours and 15 minutes in the morning. Is that right? Yeah, because it was 7.5 with an hour break for lunch. So we circled up and we reviewed what we had learned yesterday, partially for one of our students who wasn't there's benefit. And then the rules were formed by the Académique Française. That's where it was, Académique Française, which was founded by Louis XIV and is still going today. Richard Wilbur is an American known translator who specializes in translating Alexandrian, and so he really tries to keep that rhythm and rhyme. We did a little warm-up We did clapping. What did we do? Oh yeah. So we were in a circle, and then we did kind of like zip zap zoom. We clapped all in one direction. We clapped in the other direction, and then we clapped across the space. And then we started walking while clapping and clapping at people and trying to follow that. And then we did it with a noise like ha, hoo hoo, and then a word, Alexandrian, France, you know, and then trying to like pay attention while the chaos was happening. Then we introduced Tartuffe, and we got into groups of three, and we worked on a scene from Tartuffe to present. Then we had two students read a section from Misanthrope that we'll study a little later in the day, because we have two students who actually speak French. One is from Switzerland, but spent a lot of time in Paris, lives in Paris now. And then another student who's from Rome, but speaks fluently in French. So it was cool to actually like have that section of French. And then a reminder that a caesura is a full stop in the middle of a line. Said that already. But the first rhythm and rhyme. What you want to focus on is first the rhythm and the rhyme. Second is the emotion and the passion. And third are add those thoughts and the humanness, those pauses and color. And then take your time and connect with your scene partner. You have to let the words carry you away. Let the variation enter your voice, so it's not monotonous. Take liberties within the text. Don't break the text, but use the text. It's tempting to get carried away with the tempo and not honor the caesuras. All it takes is a breath. A breath can change tactics, circumstances, or anything else. Breathe, take it in, respond. So after we kind of presented all of our little scenes, we took an 8-minute break, and then we came back and we reviewed about Racine, which is not Racine, which is what I heard, but Racine, Racine, Racine. He was really into Greek mythology and focused on the impossibilities, right? To love and not be loved back, duty versus love, those things. He wrote Berenice, which is one of those impossible love plays. Phèdre, I think is how we pronounce it typically, which is his most famous. And and then third was Britannicus, which was about Rome and Nero. And we something Marianne said, which was interesting, is we do colorblind casting and gender blind casting, but not age blind casting a lot. But back then, like a single actress would play Juliet her whole life. And so it's interesting to think about. And then my partner and I did Britannicus, and I played Nero, and my partner played Junia, who was the espoused, like the fiance of Nero's stepbrother. And so Nero had overthrown his stepbrother, now also fell in love with his stepbrother's fiance and wants her to cut off the relationship or he'll kill his brother. Big stuff. So then we presented to each other. And some things I wrote about that is if you can avoid sitting down in any scene, do it. Actors in seats lower the energy for the audience. The first scene with Titus and Berenice, extend the words, especially heavy words like cruel. Yeah, slow down, connect with the words. It makes it more comprehensible. Use the words. Phèdre was next, a couple versions, modern and classic. And we saw the difference between really trying to honor the exactly Alexandrian and just the ideas of it. Don't be afraid of silence as long as it is filled with energy and action. Big speeches require a journey. Where do they start and where do they end? Most of us prefer to the poetry of the classic translation. And then there's 2 scenes from Britannica, and know who has the power and who and how it shifts. Raise the stakes. Things are life changing. Let the shifts and new information change you. We created nice silence and some great moments, and because my partner and I did Britannicus. Yeah. I was told to be offended by Junia's tears for Britannica. Britannica is Nero's brother-in-law or stepbrother, that I wanted for me. And she's like, oh, I have these tears. It's like, I want your tears. I want you to cry and feel for me. And then I'm really excited for this. It should be fun. We discussed the language and our experience with the translations. The text is a roadmap. Follow it. Then we had a lunch break. Then we came back. We're close, guys. 2 more pages. We're zooming. After 17th century, we are moving away from the classic tragedies and so into Molière. And Molière was an actor first, then a director, and later a playwright. Tartuffe, there is a Martin Crimp translation, which he also did a great translation for Cyrano de Bergerac, which Marianne thinks is the greatest play, the best play ever written, which is cool. You don't have to do much with a well-written text, right? So don't overdo it. The Misanthrope has a couple of scenes. The Sisterhood, or sometimes called The Learned Ladies. And there's Tartuffe. There's a few scenes from that. No rhyme or verse in the version she has. Verse helps a lot, but it's quick to understand more like the modern prose. Then there's the Unconscious Invalid, also called the Hypochondriac. And this is like swimming in butter. Oh, no. Well, yes. The swimming in butter is unctuous. That is a term that Marianne used. She's like, make that a little more unctuous. Then we had an 8-minute break as we were going through all these. And then one of our students sang a French aria for us because he's an opera singer. And then Don Juan is on the road about people trying to get married. I don't know what that means, or I wrote that, but apparently Molière wrote that. Then there's The Would-Be Gentleman by Molière, which is completely a comedy. It's just straight funny. Then The Hypochondriac. There's a Richard Bean translation, which is great. And then at the end of King Louis XIV's reign, he was much more subdued and less dramatic. Like there's a story, I know this individually from history class, but Louis XIV used to like stand by his door and scratch it. Just like a little bit, just, I don't even know if you'll hear this, but like, and then he'd want his footmen or his servants to come in immediately. And if they didn't, he'd like kill them or something. Wild. In the 18th century, Louis the 15th was much more pacified and a freer, less strict time. And this introduced like a lot of mistaken identities, an introduction to the aside in French theater. Figaro was the first play titled after a servant. King Louis XVI was beheaded with his wife Marie Antoinette. Figaro, Louis XVI said it would be the end of the monarchy, and Marie Antoinette said that not to worry about it. But, you know, they were both beheaded, so maybe Louis XVI was right. So we were assigned new scenes. I got to be with someone and did The Would-Be Gentleman, Act 2, Scene 4, and we worked on that. And then we presented these. And then Don Juan is a free thinker, a womanizer, an atheist in practice. The Would-Be Gentleman, Monsieur Jourdain, is middle class, but he gets a lot of money. He falls into a lot of money, and then he wants to be a nobleman. The hypochondriac, he wants his daughter to marry a doctor to keep him alive because he thinks he's dying. And then the game of love and chance, which I don't think I mentioned that one, but is trying to get out of an arranged marriage. Figaro, a maid switches places with her countess to see if the count will cheat on her with the maid. Um, and then we circled up after we did those final scenes. And then this is the list of all the plays and all the scenes that we may do. So there's Le Cid, Phèdre, Britannica, Bernice, Misanthrope, Tartuffe, Sisterhood, Don Juan, The Would-Be Gentleman, The Hypochondriac, The Game of Love and Chance, The Marriage of Figaro. And then she asked us what our preferences and opinions are. And I said, I'd love to do some comedy, something silly, funny, good time. Because I'm still working on finding the truth in comedy. Anyway, so that was week one. Yeah. So we hit the ground running, and it's going to stay like that forever and ever and ever. Yeah, I'll attach, well, I'll put up my video of my screen scene once I get access to it. I don't think it's good, but I'm learning. It's all a process. Love you guys. Good to be back. Bye.